Okay, I think I got it, you guys. Eric is running over again today. And so I'm like, hey, we're going to start and this is going to be great. And they just saw I took a drink off Facebook. I was trying to hide that before it streamed over. So there you guys go. My Utah, we have these swig. It's the drinks. It's great. Okay, so today, actually, let's just take a second and go through any wins. Does anyone have any wins they want to share from today or yesterday? I know we didn't have an assignment yesterday. I'm waiting to see if we have an assignment today, but kind of the principles and the things that he talked about, I really liked it. It was a different way of looking at things. Hey Heidi. I'm like, oh, you guys are in two places. Hold on one second. I'm just gonna see if there's anyone on the chat. As my husband calls me, it's totally fine. Okay, so hi, we're here. And does anyone want to say any wins, or we can just jump into it today? I'm like looking, if you guys were to see, you guys would actually laugh. I've got two big monitors, and then I make the monitors look like different screens. So I have like two screens over here, two screens over here, and two screens here. It's really bad. Okay, well then I am just going to jump in today. And Erin said, oh, Erin, I love you. Added a new team member last week and have 1 or 2 possible signups happening when they're ready. I have 7 vendor events. Way to go, Heidi. So you guys, something that I actually did this last weekend, and it was actually comical. So for those of you guys that, and I can see, I'm going to try it on and do a Facebook Live with it. And they actually were laughing at me that oh my gosh, things hit beyond hit this last weekend. And I was very frustrated. And when I get very frustrated, I just sit and laugh, and it's just wonderful. So we did this event. And when I've talked to somebody else in the past, when they did this same type of event, when they say like 150,000 to 200,000 people go through, it is not a lie. Like, it is a huge event. And these people that I talked to, I swear they said they did easily 20 grand, sold $20,000 of inventory in 2 days. And so I was like, hey, I'm geared up for this. This is going to be great. Well, guess what? It rained the first day. And water was coming in, it was going on our board. It was just, I thought it was going to be warm because that's what my mom said. And I didn't listen to her, I didn't check. So I was freezing, we got drenched, like it was just wonderful. Not to mention it's outside, and I hate bugs. Like, I hate them more than anything. Bugs and bees. I do not do well with bugs. And we had just a few earwigs, and I kind of just had to grin and bear it. But the point that I'm getting to is, through all of this funness, we started, like, I had fun with it. And it was so funny because I just tried to crack jokes, and I love to see people's reactions when I say something. And so I would say, hey, you guys, guess what? We have a show special. You want to know what it is? 5 for $25. And then a few minutes later, be like, hey, you guys, everything is $5. And then a few minutes later, be like, but show special or rain special, 5 for $25. So then I would look around, and I would have some people that would just look at me like, seriously, you're not very smart. Or they would start laughing, or I'd have them come up and be like, that's the same thing. And I'm like, sure is. But I cannot tell you how many people came up to me and they're like, okay, so you said 5 for $25, right? I was like, sure did. that I started bumping up my sales that way. And then while they were buying, I just sat there, I was like, well, they're stuck here with me. And so if they were buying, if they seemed like, and I would just kind of talk to them and I would say, hey, like if they were buying 5 or 6 pieces, or I could tell that they love jewelry, I would go straight into the opportunity. Hey, just to let you know, I'm all about a good deal. Like this right now is $5. Like this is a great deal, but it is, but I just want you to know, if you are at all interested, you could get this jewelry at wholesale. So for $99, and or sometimes I wouldn't even go into that. If you want to buy this at wholesale, it's kind of like a Costco membership. So just like you have to buy a membership and you can go in there. So that's how I'd go in. I'm like, then you can buy the jewelry at wholesale for $2.75. If this is at all of interest, let me know. And then I'd get their information. So depending on the person, sometimes I would tell them it was $99, that they're like, okay, what is it? I'm like, well, it's just this, here you go. But I would just bring up here, it's like a membership. You don't have to sell it. This is only if you want to buy it for yourself at wholesale. I just wanted to share this with you, and I would love to help you out if this is of interest. I can't tell you, and I know this is not with duplication, but I'm going to tell you my win. So with that being said, when we did Elite Summit, not this last year, but the year before, I can't tell you how many elite leaders, they asked the question, how many of you guys signed up for the discount? I would easily say 80 to 90% of them signed up for the discount, and they ended up becoming, they're like, oh, people were asking them, and they turned into elite leaders that they weren't planning on selling it, and then they started selling it. So that goes into recruiting. So the thing that Eric talked about is duplication begins with the recruiting process. So it's the way that, and this is very interesting, that if you were to think back to how when you first signed up, the training you got, a lot of the times we kind of just do that same thing. That's like, oh, well, they taught me this, so I'm going to teach you this, or you kind of just go through that same thing. And so it's how you were exposed to different trainings, or how you were doing things, is usually how a lot of people teach their team. So with that being said, it's, are you going to take that same thing, or are you going to break that cycle and take of, here, what is simple? What can I give to these people? What is duplicatable? How can I help them and not give them too much information, not overwhelm them? He also talked about when you're talking to these prospects, it is, and this is something that was very interesting that I liked, is he said, you're going to have to do exposure after exposure after exposure. How many times were you personally exposed to the jewelry or the opportunity before you signed up? Where I can honestly say, Mom and I, we went to a show, and then we went to another show. So we were twice, and then we saw dollar signs left and right, where I know I'm not of the norm, but we were at least twice. So how many times were you exposed? And then it's kind of thinking about that. It's like, okay, there's, he said on average, it's 4 to 6 exposures. So if you think about it, you had to see something 4 to 6 times. That's the same thing with your prospects, that it's, oh, they said no. Well, it doesn't mean no, it means not now. And so it's just exposing them and exposing them multiple times, because it's going to be 4 to 6 times, if not more. And then he went into, so duplication starts early. It's how you find your prospect, how you start your conversation, how you pivot, how you do the invitation, how you present, how you do like a third-party tool, and how you give them the training. And he said, and this is something interesting, is not everything you do has to be duplicatable. So there's some things that it's like, here, it's just, or what he said everything you do in your business. So it's not, here, I have to have a system for everything. It's just here, where having a system in regards to, and we'll go through this in a second, of like, what are main things within paparazzi? And this is something where Eric made the point with this, which I very much appreciate, because we did the same thing. And I feel like it did set us back. Is he said in his business, he was thinking about it, and he said, he looked at everything he was doing and he thought, here, if I am not, if my team is not able to do this process or to do this, then I shouldn't be doing it too. And so he said that he went back to like super, super simple, which ended up pushing him back in his business. And so, and that's something that my mom and I and Robbie talk about, is I have systems with inventory that is way different than a brand new person, because I should not expect my brand new person to be at a pink diamond or an empire level. They are going to be at a very small level. And so it's looking at this, and as far as duplication, is that, okay, what are these small layers that it's okay if you're up here in certain levels and you're going to give them these small steps to get them there, but it's what are these small little systems and processes and duplication that's going to help them be successful. And so that's what I loved, is because we go back and forth. It's like, well, this isn't something that our team would be doing. Well, no, they're just not to that layer or that level yet where they very much could be. And so that's something that I thought was super awesome, that just because you're up here doesn't mean you have to go down. It's give them ideas, because we all started with one piece of jewelry, with 35 pieces of jewelry. Some people started way back when it was a $40 sign up and they started with zero jewelry. So everybody starts somewhere. But it's just taking it from there. He said, what was the other thing? I'm just going through my notes. Something interesting, and I feel like paparazzi is different in this aspect because he was talking about this overall, but it could be something very true. He said, at least within the network marketing, all across the board, just different companies, he said half the distributors or half the consultants use the product. And so it got me thinking, like, how many times a week do I actually wear the jewelry? Which it's super easy to throw on earrings or a necklace. And so I feel like jewelry is a lot easier than other things. But if you were to really think about it, how many days in the last 30 days, so in a month, how many days have you actually worn jewelry? Which I will totally turn myself in. There are days on like a Saturday, Friday, sometimes on a Tuesday, I come into the office, my hair is here and I'm in sweats and I have no jewelry on. And that's just, I'm at fault for that. And so it really kind of made me think about it. He's like, you should be using the product daily. So am I wearing the product daily? Am I doing something with the product daily? I thought that was super awesome and huge. Another thing that he asked is, I feel like within paparazzi, the jewelry sells itself. Like, and that's what cracks me up, because I was talking to some people and they're like, well, I'm not a salesperson. I'm like, seriously, this stuff, like, I'm not being a salesperson. I'm not one that's going to tell fib, but I had somebody the other day that I told her, I said, do a reel, just make a reel and put a set together. Brittany, I'm not going to do it. Please just humor me and just make a reel, put it on your story and put it on your page. Message the next day. Oh my gosh, I have people claiming stuff like crazy off of this album or off of this reel. I was like, okay, that's cool. That's great. And so are you doing something to try and show the product every day, which I think is a great idea. Another thing that Eric kind of went off on, which I think was super awesome, is being in this business, you become, how did he say it? He said, you become you will be doing, what is it called? Presentations. You're going to be talking. You're going to be telling your story over and over and over. You will feel like a broken record. You will feel like you have said your story so many times that everybody has heard it. but there's always going to be somebody that hasn't heard it, and you're going to get sick of it way before anyone else. But the great thing about this business is it's going to, and especially with us, where you guys, I love doing events, but when it was raining, I pulled out my phone and I'm like, this is not going to hold me back. And I pulled it out and I went live on my page. I'm like, guess what? I don't care. I'm still going to make money no matter what. And my mom just looked at me and she starts laughing. She's like, are you serious? And I have my bucket. I'm like, who wants this? And I'm shoving it in there and I'm shoving it in there. And so it's working with your situation. But as you talk more and more, you're going to get more comfortable with it. You're going to get more confident. And so that's the thing that you're going to have as you go live more and more, and as you talk to people more and more. This is the great thing with network marketing, is because you are going to constantly network. And so the thing that Eric said is, he said, with this business, it is something that is so wonderful because you, by doing all these things, you're going to be training, you're going to be speaking, you're going to be presenting. You, by doing that over and over, you're going to get more confident. And in this world that we live in, you can make money doing anything out there, any business, any being a part of any company, doing anything. If you can do the one of three things, it's training, speaking, and presenting. Well, guess what? You are learning those things and you are getting better and better at that by just going live, by talking to people, it's just here. And it's taken me time, and I still get nervous that I'm able to get up, and since I've done trainings and I'm on here doing this Zoom, I'm able to talk more and more, and I feel more confident that I can stand up in front of people. And so this is something that if you haven't told your story on a live or you haven't recorded it, I'm going to encourage you to do it, because one, you are going to be the leader and you're teaching your team to do it. Two, it's just going to get you more exposure. It's going to get you more confident, and you're going to get better with doing this. And over time, it's just going to be natural, and it's going to help you with communication. There's so many things that it's going to help you. And so, and then he went into a huge thing as far as being a leader and with duplication is trying to be out there with your team or being out there with the company. And so he said, at least try to do 8 days a year. And so as we were sitting here, I was like, 8 days a year? No, yes. But he said, there's going to be more, that the more you're with your team or the more you're out there, the more you're going to connect, the more 8 days a month. That's why I did you see that, Sedaria? I was like, wait. So 8 days a year or 8 days a month. Oh my goodness, we're struggling. And so as I kind of thought about that, we are very lucky with paparazzi that we've got EMP. So that's a few days. You've got convention. There is passport. There are all these different things sprinkled throughout. When you hit elite, there's summit. So there's tons of different things that there is this opportunity. And then there's different, a bunch of the leaders are where I'm going to Texas, but they're doing the all-in tour. There's another one. Just so the more you can get out, it's just connecting and talking to people that you're going to get that aha moment, which I think is huge. And then he said, with doing that, it's just spending time with your team and loving them. Where I know being a mom, and we have men and women, and me with having kids, it's hard at times because legit, I wrote out my whole schedule for the week. And I was just sitting there just shaking my head, like, how am I going to do this? And I was really kind of stressing it because I'm like, legit, there is something every hour to 20 minutes of something going on. And so what I figured is, well, I still want to see my children. I want to be there. So how can I make this work within my schedule? So that's where I think it's really looking at your day and putting down the hours and saying, okay, I'm either at my full-time job from this time to this time. I got this time with my kids and this time, and then they go to bed by this time, and this is what I'm doing. Where me, I want to go and drive them and do things and be there. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to take off from 4 to 8. And then I'm going to start going live once I get them in bed. And I'm going to do those things. I'm going to work it around that schedule. And that's what's great about this business is you can work it around whatever schedule. And so that's also letting it know with your team. And that could be something where not everybody's going to put in an 8-10 hour day like I do, but what is going to work for you? And that is something I also believe within duplication is, okay, look at your team member and say, you have 20 minutes a day or once a week. Okay, what is the most productive thing you can do in that time? And kind of go through that. So I am looking at my notes real quick. I know it's 1:52. I don't think there was an assignment today. So there's the information. Sorry, this one a little bit longer. I'm going to go get on new releases and try and get that awesome butterfly that moves up and down. If you guys saw it on sneak peeks, it's awesome. If not, there you go. You're welcome. So I love you guys so much. Charmaine, I didn't do a training on that. I just talked to somebody. So I will bring that up tomorrow. Okay. I love you guys. See you later.